inside the Ghana Premier League. It is Sitso stake inside the Ghana Premier League. From round 11, we've seen some very exciting results coming through. For Asante Kotoko, their slump continues, and for Kotoko, their resurgence also continues. Then there is one of the most underrated coaches in the Ghana Premier League, Kasim Mengo of Nations FC, who after week 11 has leaped into the lead of the Ghana Premier League. So key points I'm going to be talking about is, of course, what is happening to Kotoko, how Kotoko are regaining their stride or hitting their stride, and why Nations FC are where they are, at least for today. In other weeks, we'll be talking about other teams and we'll be looking at how their seasons can be better. So let's set the ball rolling, shall we? Let's talk about Kotoko, which will dovetail into Nations FC because they play this weekend. And so Kotoko, we are home to Nations FC in Obuasi. In the end, Kotoko lost by 2-0. It is 3 games now without a victory for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. To make it worse, they've not scored in any of those fixtures. So now, the problem I've had with Kotoko has always been structural, of the club's structure. Not structure in tactics, but the club's structure in operations. When you've got a little body they've got running a big club like Kotoko, this is meant to happen really because, as we speak, the coach is not only focused on, that is all good, he's not only focused on coaching, he's focused on being a managing member of the committee that is supposed to oversee the club. And this has gone on for far too long. They are into the second season with this committee, and for me that needs to be fixed. Now, when there are jobs where it doesn't matter how good you are, you still need people to report to, and that at times keeps you on your toes, that at times keeps you focused. I think Ogum doesn't have that at Kotoko now, and that is actually, I think, affecting a lot of the things happening at the club. But let's talk about the football itself. Kotoko at the start of the season looked like they were good at all their games, and I always had the impression that there was always going to be a time where this period for Kotoko was going to come. Because if you realize, or if you saw Kotoko start of the season, they never really had goals in this team. And at the start of the season, Kotoko would defend well, but they never really got goals. So if you go back maybe some 6 games, even though Kotoko won, they were winning by 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1. And I always said that having not replaced Stephen Mukwala, it was going to come back to haunt them. You know, after Tuga, there was Mukwala, so there were goals. This season, who really in that Kotoko side can you point to and say that he's their main source of goals, or is the one that causes havoc for defenders in Kotoko's attack? I don't think you've got one name that comes to mind. And as good as you can be in defense, there's going to be a point or a time where you're going to crack, because if you don't score goals and teams score 1, then you can't win games. And even if you're good at defense, it's only a matter of time before the failures of your attackers begins to mount pressure on your defense, and more teams become more confident that you can get a job done against you. Unfortunately for Kotoko, they are in this bad patch, and they came to play against one of the best teams in the Ghana Premier League. That is Nations FC. And what makes Nations FC as good as they are, for me, is Kasim Mengo. I covered the Ghana Premier League. I ran around the country. I saw him coach the teams in the Ghana Premier League. That is Nations FC. And what makes Nations FC as good as they are, for me, is Kasim Mengo. I covered the Ghana Premier League. I ran around the country. I saw him coach Bechem United. Tactically, he is brilliant, and his ability to improve players is immense. I'm not seeing many coaches now in the Ghana Premier League who've got the ability to pick players, improve them, use them to their strength, and then build a collective unit that makes it difficult for teams to come up against. And that's what Nations FC have got in Kasim Mengo. He in every single game can actually change tactics and style about 3 times. He can start with a back 3, end up shifting into a back 4, and when he needs to, he can play a back 5. And the good thing about it is all his players are on the same page and they're able to react to it. And so I'm not surprised he's where he is. I'm not saying he's going to win the league, because that's the side of him. As good as his team can be, he also lacks a bit of ruthlessness at times. And that is why sometimes his teams like Bechem, even though they came so close at times, finishing in the top 4 in the last 3 seasons that he was with them, they never really got a crack at winning the title. But yeah, Kasim Mengo is a wonderful coach, and I'm not surprised with what he's doing with Nations FC. As after match week 11, they sit at the top of the pile. Now, what about Kotoko? Looks like there's some respite for them. I'm not saying all their problems have been solved, but the reverse of what is happening to Kotoko is what is happening to Kotoko. Kotoko started the season with defensive problems. They could get goals, but they couldn't shut the door. So what they've done now is to shut the door. And when you play against Hearts Folk, it's becoming increasingly very, very tough to break them down. And Hearts Folk are good to score a goal, score two, and get away with it. Now they need to build on from there, where they go into games and win them convincingly. Fortunately for Hearts Folk this weekend, they were playing against a very poor Canada United side. So away from home, they were still good enough to get the points about them. But they'll face tougher opposition where they'll need to be resolute in the back and need to score goals. And if so Hearts Folk play against Mediama in Takwa, in that first half, Hearts Folk were not brilliant, right? But defensively, they were solid. Then in the second half, when Mediama thought that Hearts Folk were there for the taking, Mediama risked a lot more. And that was the opening for Hearts Folk. They got in behind them, they put in crosses, they put in long balls, and Hearts Folk got the better of them. They won by 2 goals to them. And they've since picked, momentum from there. Their goalkeeper, Ben Asari, formerly of Olympics, has been an immense leader for them. His organization at the back is superb, and when he's been called upon, he's been making brilliant saves. I think that Hearts Folk can continue to build on that, but we need this form to continue a bit more further for us to confirm that truly they are genuinely in good form. But yeah, they wouldn't mind because they've climbed into the top 4 now after match week 11. They've got 18 points and 4 points behind Nations FC, who are first lyrically about. So if Hearts Folk had a poor start to the season and are only 4 points behind the league leaders, that is some bounce back. But Kotoko won't necessarily put themselves out of the context because they are also on 15 points and 7 points behind the league leaders, which means they're still, they can still do the job. Well, I'll leave you with this. The team that has surprised me so much this season so far has got to be Bando Hearts of Lions. I love Bando Hearts of Lions because growing up when I visited my grandmother in Bando so far has got to be Bando Hearts of Lions. I love Bando Hearts of Lions because growing up when I visited my grandmother in Bando and my grandmother and my grandfather in Bando, they used to train right behind our house. So I'll go in and watch them play. So I have a soft for Bando Hearts of Lions, and the team has had an incredible start to the season. But they would know that starting the Ghana Premier League well is good, because in the second half of the season it becomes more difficult. Teams are looking for points to stay up, so you can build a lot of points at the start of the season. It gives you an opportunity of keeping your Premier League status, and I think that is the strategy they are using. Or maybe just maybe they really can be good to go and win the league. So yeah, that is it from me for inside the Ghana Premier League. And to wrap it all up, condolences to everybody who was close to Coach Michael, to his family, and everybody who was close to him, all the players who worked with him, all his colleagues. He was one of the finest gentlemen in Ghana football. I remember 2 seasons ago when he coached the BNE Gold Stars and we went to the BNE. He welcomed us well after the game. He had a lengthy chat. He's just a counsel, and it's really sad that he's passed on. So our condolences to the family, to all who are affected, and may he rest in peace. It's bye for now. We'll come your way again sometime next week or after the another round of games, to bring you more from the inside the Ghana Premier League.